स्टडी IQ IAS, अब तैयारी हुई अफोर्डेबल।
Welcome to StudyIQ's initiative, the podcast. I am your host, Dipansh Murjani. So tighten your belts, it is time for the podcast of the day. In the last episode, we discussed the concept of constitutionalism, which ultimately talks about rights of the citizens, liberties of the citizens, and welfare of citizens. So in this episode, it becomes mandatory to understand the concept of citizenship. Sir, whenever India as a country is referred, it is said that India is a diverse country with rich cultural heritage. India's culture is derived from a lot of ancient values. And in today's episode, we want you to make us aware on Indian citizenship. But before understanding Indian citizenship, we want to know what is the concept of citizenship.
Citizenship is generally used as a synonym for nationality, where citizenship is used in a meaning that it is different from nationality. It refers to the legal rights and duties of individuals attached to the nationality under domestic law. In some national laws, citizenship has a more specific meaning and refers to rights and duties that can only be exercised after the age of maturity, or to rights and duties that can only be exercised in the national territory. India is a diverse country with rich culture heritage, and its citizens play a critical role in shaping its future. Citizenship of India is governed by Citizenship Act 1955, which outlines the rights and responsibilities of Indian citizens.
Sir, we are curious to know, how do we acquire citizenship? Do we acquire citizenship by birth, or there are some other procedures also by which we can acquire citizenship?
Indian citizenship is acquired through birth, but it can also acquired through different methods such as descent, naturalization, or registration. A person born in India after 26 January 1950 is considered an Indian citizen by birth, regardless of the nationality of their parents. However, a person born outside India may also acquire Indian citizenship if their parents are Indian citizens. Citizenship by descent is granted to a person born outside India, but whose parents are Indian citizens at the time of their birth. Whereas in naturalization, it is another way to acquire Indian citizenship. A foreign national who has raised in India for at least 12 years can also apply for Indian citizenship through naturalization. The person must have lived in India continuously for at least 12 months of period preceding the date of application, and he or she must have renounced their previous nationalities. Registration is the another method by which you can acquire Indian citizenship. A person of Indian origin who is not a citizen of Pakistan, Bangladesh, or any other country which is specified by the government, he or she can apply for Indian citizenship through registration. The person must have raised in India for at least 7 years and must have renounced their previous nationalities.
When an individual becomes a citizen, he attains some rights, but at the same time, there are some defined roles and responsibilities for that individual. Sir, we want you to enlighten us on those rights and responsibilities of Indian citizens.
As we have discussed in this episode earlier, that there is a difference between nationality and citizenship. Nationality is one aspect of citizenship. However, citizenship is a next further step towards nationality. How? Because citizens get rights as well as some duties to perform. And Indian citizens enjoy several rights and privileges, including the right to vote and participate in the demographic process, the right to freedom of speech and expression, the right to equality before the law, and right to practice any religion of their choice. Indian citizens also have certain responsibilities, as we have already discussed that rights does not go alone. It always go hand in hand with their duties and responsibilities. And for the same, Indian citizens also have certain responsibilities to perform, such as paying taxes, respecting the laws of the land, and serving their country when called upon. The Constitution of India mandates that every citizen has a duty to protect and preserve the country's heritage, environment, and natural resources as well.
Over the years, we have seen that with respect to citizenship, a lot of issues have been raised. Sir, recently, Citizenship Amendment Act was passed. So can you throw some light on these issues which are related to citizenship?
Citizenship of India is not without its challenges. The country has faced issues related to illegal migration and statelessness, particularly in the regions such as Assam and Jammu and Kashmir. The government has implemented various measures such as the National Register of Citizen, which is NRC, and Citizenship Amendment Act CAA in 2019 also in recent times. The Constitution of India deals with the citizenship from Article 5 to 11 under Part 2 of the Constitution. It empowers Parliament to enact a law to provide for citizenship, and accordingly the Parliament has enacted the Citizenship Act 1955, and even further it amended the act in future. Citizenship Amendment Act was brought up in 2019, which consisted of the following provisions. The CAA provides citizenship on the basis of religion to 6 undocumented non-Muslim communities, which are Hindus, Sikhs, Buddhists, Jains, Parsis, and Christians, which came from Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Afghanistan, who entered India on or before 31st of December 2014. Second feature of the CAA Act is reduced time. It also relaxes the time period of stay in India for being eligible for citizenship by naturalization from 11 years earlier to 5 years in recent time. Third aspect of the CAA Act was that there are some exclusions. The amendment does not extend to the 6th schedule areas, which are basically the tribal areas from Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram, and Tripura. And also it does not apply in the areas where inner line permit areas are there in the state of Arunachal Pradesh, Mizoram, and Nagaland.
Sir, as a UPSC aspirant, we have to understand both the pros and cons of the Citizenship Amendment Act. So can you explain those arguments which are in favor and against the Citizenship Amendment Act?
Concern which are against the Amendment Act are: first critic argues that it violates the Article 14 of the Constitution, which basically guarantees the right to equality, and it is applicable to both the citizens and foreigners. And the principle of secularism enshrined into the preamble of the Constitution is also being violated, critics says. The next political concern is that center state issue. It is because states such as Telangana, West Bengal, Kerala, Punjab, Rajasthan have passed resolutions opposing the act under Article 131. Next concern is Assam Accord. It is against the spirit of Assam Accord, and as it will lead to outsiders settling into Assam. It is perceived that as it will allow to the migrants or illegal migrants who have migrated from the region of Bangladesh will get a legal status of citizenship in the region of Assam. The Joint Parliamentary Committee had recommended the words religious persecution should be introduced in the act. However, the final act omits this crucial word. However, understanding all these concerns, we should understand there are some arguments which are in support of the CAA. Firstly, that this act is not against Muslims. How? We will see that. The Ahmadiyas and Rohingyas can still seek Indian citizenship through naturalization if they enter with a valid travel documents. In any case, since India follows the principle of non-refoulement even without acceding to the Refugee Convention of 1951, they would not be pushed back. If a Shia Muslim is facing persecution and is in India seeking shelter, in this case, he can continue to reside in India as a refugee and shall be considered on its merits and circumstances. With regard to Balochi refugees, Balochistan has long struggled to be independent of Pakistan, and including Balochis in the CAA could be perceived as an interference in Pakistan's internal affairs. So that's why in this act this was not provided. Secondly, it is important to note that even minorities shall not be granted automatic citizenship. They would need to fulfill conditions specified in the third schedule of the Citizenship Act 1955. Namely, there should be a good character requirement as well as a physical residence in India. Harish Salve, one of India's biggest names in national and international laws, has stated that the Citizenship Amendment Act is not anti-Muslim. Salve stated that the countries specified in the CAA have their own state religion and Islamic rules. He added that Islamic majority nations identify their people as per who follows Islam and who does not. Addressing governance problems in neighboring countries is not the purpose of the CAA. Over the issues of Rohingyas, Salve stated and gives a very interesting argument that a law that addresses one evil does not need to address all the evils in all countries. It is notably here that Myanmar, though a Buddhist majority nation, does not have a state religion and Myanmar does not feature in the CAA bill. The Act does not violate Article 14. And even with respect to the Northeast states, it is said that Citizenship Amendment Act does not dilute the sanctity of Assam Accord as far as the cutoff date of March 24, 1971 stipulated for the detection, deportation of illegal migrants is concerned. And Citizenship Amendment Act is not Assam-centric. It applies to the whole country. Citizenship Amendment Act is definitely not against the National Registers of Citizenship, that is NRC, which is being updated to protect indigenous communities from illegal migrants.
To conclude, we can say that Indian citizenship is not a simple concept. Rather, it is a complex concept. Citizenship is governed by certain rules and regulations which also highlight the rights and responsibilities of Indian citizens. Dear listeners, it is time to bid you a goodbye. We will meet very soon with another episode of the podcast. Till then, keep studying and stay connected with StudyIQ. You can listen to this podcast on various audio streaming platforms such as Hubhopper, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Kuku FM, etc. Links are pinned in the comment section. You can click on the link and listen to our podcast. Thank you.